Sir, sensya na po. Driving lang po. Nasa kalsada pa ako.
Okay. Take care. Ingat.
Apa, sir. Apa.
Okay, so let's start. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Nabina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'du. Fassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So this is our 6th session. Alhamdulillah. So we have discussed a lot regarding about the Muslim law on inheritance and succession. Okay, so last meeting, just a quick recap, we have already identified or we have already defined what is inheritance and also the distinction between mirath and tarika. Some of you also reported what are the properties to be included in the estate of the decedent and what are those not or should not be included in the estate of the decedent. We have also discussed the order of preference of claims to inheritance. So in the Islamic or the four Sunni madhahib perspective, and also on the perspective of the Code of Muslim Personal Laws. So we have already reconciled that, some of those order of preference of claims. Then we have also discussed the liability of heirs, as some of you have reported, and the particular discussion was about the provision in the Code of Muslim Personal Laws, or the PD 1083. Then we have also discussed the order and modes of succession. And we know that the order of succession, so from the Ashabul Furud, or what we call the Ashabul Mirath. So they are those who will inherit, they are the heirs who will inherit with fixed shares. So after getting their shares, whatever left will be going to the Ashabul, or rather Ashabul Furud, then Ashabul Mirath. Ashabul Mirath, or what we call Al-Asaba, so they are the male agnates, they are the male relatives, pure male relatives of the decedent. So whatever left after the Ashabul Furud, after they got their shares, their fixed shares, the remaining will be going to the Ashabul Mirath, or the Asaba, the residuary heirs. So in case there's no residuary heirs, there's no Ashabul Furud, there's no fixed heirs with fixed share, so it will go to the Dawul Arham, so distant kindred. And their share will be based on their relationship with the decedent. So if, for example, the relationship to the decedent is through his daughter, so they will that particular distant kindred will get the share of the daughter. According to the majority of the scholars, that's how the distant kindred's shares are computed. So distant kindred, basically distant kindred or Dawul Arham, are those relatives of the decedent who don't have any fixed share, and at the same time they are not amongst the Asaba or the Ashabul Mirat. Then after that, if there's no Dawul Arham, the decedent, the one who died, didn't left anyone, so it will go to Baitul Mal, Universal Legatee, then then lastly Baitul Mal. So there are many discussions regarding the topic that we have discussed yesterday. So last meeting. So Alhamdulillah. Now we will proceed with the discussion on the concept of legal succession, settlement and partition of estate, methods on distribution of inheritance portion, taqsimut tarika, and derivation of the roots of the problem, usulul masail or aslul mas'ala, or rules on determining the divisor, the ta'sil. Then the doctrine of correction or tashih. So particularly, I am expecting from you guys, from your presentation, your sharing today, will be more on computation, practical application of what we have already discussed. So just some examples. Okay, so who wants to go first? So, sinong gusto mauna? Si Bakri ba? O si Miss
So,
Abdul
updating
Malik?
pa lang po yung computer ko.
Okay. Si Miss Abdul Malik? Ready ba? Dito ba si Miss Abdul Malik? Okay. So siguro dahil mag-aadhan na, nag-prepare na siguro mag-pray si Miss Abdul Malik. Okay, so I
Sir,
think
medyo mahina po yung
may na signal.
Opo.
Okay. So I think ang gawin na lang natin, no, kasi tiningnan ko lang yung oras, mag-aadhan na. So we will take a break. Please prepare, no, for your reports. Sino man na may reports ngayon, prepare. Then we will resume or we will we will start we will formally start our discussion sa mga presentation nyo at 6:10, no, 6:10. So we will just kasi mag-aadhan na rin 1 minute and Maghrib adhan na. So please prepare. Okay, so let's take a break. Alhamdulillah. So let us continue. Let's start. Okay. Who wants to go first? Ready na ba si Miss Abdul Malik?
Hindi po, sir. Medyo hindi lang stable yung connection ko po, pero babalik din pag nawala.
Okay. So sinong gusto mag-present? Bakri.
Mauna na lang po ako, sir, pero bear with me na lang po sa sa connection.
Sige, sige. Okay lang.
Okay
Yes,
lang
try.
po.
Yes, try.
Sige po. Ayan, assalamualaikum everyone. So, 3-to-1 approach. These are the questions will be the content of this report. So the first one is the method of methods on the distribution of the inheritance. So the first is the determination of the value of one portion and thereafter multiplying it with the number of the portions that the heirs are entitled to. Second is the multiplication of the portion of each heir with the totality of the inheritance and division thereafter of the result by the divisor or by its correction. The second question is how to determine the divisor. First, know the heirs, verify their relations to the decedent, and determine whether they are all residuary heirs or all sharers or a combination of the two kinds of heirs. If they are all residuary heirs, the basis of the divisor is their number. So if they are all males, as when one dies leaving 5 sons, then the divisor is 5. So if they are all sharers naman and there exists only one share in an inheritance case, the said share is the basis of the divisor. However, if there are more than one share, the divisor shall be determined by the denominators of the shares. So if the two shares are mutamatilan, then one of them is sufficient to stand as a divisor of the case. If they are mutabakilan, then the bigger one shall constitute the divisor. If they are okay. If they are mutawifikan, then find the least common denominator. So if they are mutabainan, then multiply the whole number of one with the whole number of the other, and the result is the divisor. Ayan, sorry po sa typo. In relation to that, the rules in determining the divisor. So if the shares are one kind, the biggest denominator is the divisor. There is actually the first kind, which is 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, and meron namang second kind, which is 2/3, 1/3, and 1/6. So if there are two or more shares, one is taken from the first kind, and the other is taken from the second kind. The rules are as follows: if the share of 1/2 of the first kind is with one or all of the shares of the second kind, the divisor is 6. If the share 1/4 of the first kind is with one or all of the shares of the second kind, the divisor is 12. If the share 1/8 of the first kind is with one or all of the shares of the second kind, the divisor is 24. So, regarding the determination of the root of the problem, we have tamasul or altamatul. This is when the numbers of the denominators of the fixed or appointed shares of the sharers are equal to each other or are the same. So altamatul means the exact equality of the two numbers. It exists between two numbers when they are exactly the same or they exactly agree. So as in this example given, the share of the husband and the consanguine sister are exactly the same. So the technique is just to use the same number as the very root of the problem and divide the denominator of the fixed or appointed shares of each sharer by the same number. So next is Takaluf. Ayan. So when the denominators of the appointed or fixed shares of the shares are dissimilar or disproportionate to each other, and this is further subclassified into tatlo. Yung una is tadakul. So this exists when the numbers of the denominators of the fixed or appointed shares of the shares are unequal but are proportionate to each other in terms of their ratio, and bigger number is divisible by the smaller number without any remainder. So this occurs between two numbers when the bigger one can be exactly divided um, by the smaller one without any fraction at all. So in the sample given, the denominator is 4, which is the share of the husband, and can be divided by the share of the son's daughter, which is 2. So to get the root of the problem, simply use the bigger number as between those numbers as the root of the problems. So in this case, it is 4. So, yung pangalawa is tabayon. When the denominators of the appointed or fixed shares of the shares are not only disproportionate, but also contradictory to each other or consist of odd and even numbers. It occurs when the two numbers cannot be divided by each other, and they cannot even be equally or exactly divided by another number. So in the given example, the share of the wife, which has denominator 4, is disproportionate and also contradictory to the share of the mother, which is 3, parang 1/3 and 1/4. So in order to get the root of the problem, multiply both numbers, yung 4 at saka 3, and then it will result to 12 and can be the divisor to get each portion. So 12 divided by 4 equals 3. So ganun din, 12 divided by 3, which is share of the mother, equals 4. Then to get the residue for the German brother, you just have to minus that 7, which is the total number of the share of the wife and the mother. Then it will result to 5. Yan. So, yung last is the tawafu. Um, when the denominators are fixed or appointed shares of the shares are even numbers, which are not divisible with 1. So, but it can be reconciled by finding for the smallest number or divisor that can divide either of the denominators of the fixed or appointed shares of the shares without leaving any remainder, and the result thereof multiplying it with the denominator of the other fixed share in order to get the root of the problem. So any two numbers which can both be divided by another number are said to be in agreement or composite. So in this sample, the shares involved are 1/6 and 1/4. So to look for the smallest number that can divide the denominators 4 and 6. So 4, pwede siyang ma-divide ng 2, and yung 6 naman pwede siyang ma-divide ng 3. So but actually the fastest way to get the smallest number or divisor is to refer to the rule where if the share 1/4 of the first kind is with 1, or all of the shares of the second kind, then the divisor is 12. So yun, andi dito 12 na. So next is the doctrine of correction. So the doctrine of correction comes into use when, upon totaling all the units of the shares of all the heirs, it so happened that the shares of an heir coexisting with the other heirs be lesser or different from the locally fixed or appointed shares as ordained under the Islamic law. So in relation to this, the rule in resolving the disagreement between portions and a number of heirs. So if the portions assigned to the heirs and the numbers of the heirs cannot be divided among them without any fraction, then a rectification is necessary. So this is where Jus al-Siham is required to come up with the corrected root of the problem in order to avoid the decimal points or fractional numbers in the distribution of the inheritance. So the first rule is that when only one kind of error whose portions cannot be divided among them without fraction, halimbawa sa tawafuk, um, if there exists tawafuk or they are in agreement or the numbers of both kind of heirs are divisible by 4 or 2, then take 1/4 or 1/2 of the number of heirs. And then multiply with the number of the divisor to get the total portions of all heirs. Then multiply also the portions allotted to each heir with the Jus al-Siham to get their number of portions. So if there exists tabayon between the number of the heads of the heirs and the numbers of the portions allotted to them, said portions cannot be divided without fraction, then ang gagamitin ay yung total number of the heads of the heirs. Yun naman ang magiging Jus al-Siham. Pero in this rule naman, if there are more than one kind of heirs whose assigned portions cannot be divided among them without a fraction, there are 4 instances or 4 rules. If the matter exists between them, then one of them is sufficient to constitute the Jus al-Siham. If the dako exists between them, the bigger one stands as a smaller one is within the bigger one. If the wafak exists, in the sense that they agree, for example, with a half or a fourth, then the half or the fourth of one of them is multiplied with the whole number of the other, and the result constitutes the Jus al-Siham. And lastly, if tawafuk, takaluf, tabayon exists between them, the whole number of one is multiplied with the whole number of the others, and the result stands as Jus al-Siham. So I have prepared only one case for the under the doctrine of correction. This is a case of tabayon with regard to the share of the daughters. So in this case, a person dies, leaving 5 daughters, father and mother. He left a net estate worth 120,000 and distribute the inheritance. So since the share involves our 2/3, 1/6, and another 1/6, the root of the problem is 6 under Alta Daco, since the bigger one can be divided by the smaller one. So 6 divide 3 equals to 2 times 2 again will be equal to 4. So yung portions ng daughter for the 5 daughters is 4, which is not correct or inconsistent. So since the portion does not correspond to the number of the daughters, a correction is necessary. But in order to do so, compare muna yung numbers ng heirs, which is the 5, and then to the portion of 4. That 4 and 5 is actually a case of tabayon, since they cannot be divided by each other, or no number can serve as a common divisor. So applying the rule in resolving the disagreement between the portions and number of heirs, yung total number of heads ng heirs shall constitute as Jus al-Siham. So total of heirs dito is 5, kasi 5 daughters. So then multiply to the root of the problem, which is 6, will result to 30. So then the corrected number divide to the original shares. But another way of doing this is to simply multiply the Jus al-Siham, which is the 5, to the yung original portions, yung 4, 1 at saka 1. So times lang sila to the Jus al-Siham. will result to the corrected portion, which is 20, then 5 and 5. Then 120,000 divides up 30 because of the corrected root of the problem would result to 4,000. Tapos yun naman yung multiply to the corrected portions. So therefore, each daughter inherits 16,000 with the total of 80 for the 5 daughters. And the father inherits 20,000 naman, the same with the mother. So another case, actually this is simple problem. Wala siyang conflict, but just a simple one lang na wala ring adjustment. So in this case, a person dies leaving wife, mother, and German brother. He left a net estate of 780,000. So distribute the inheritance. So in this case, the shares involved are 1/4 and 1/3. So from that shares, we can already deduce that it involves tabayon. So ang magiging root of the problem niya agad with regards to the rule is 12. So 12 divide 4 equals to 3. And then for the mother, 12 divide 3 would be equal to 4. So yung residue naman for the German brother, which is 5. So yun, regarding the net estate, 780,000 divided by 12, which is the root of the problem, would result to 65. And then yun na i-multiply to get the net share of each heir. So another problem is, this is also a simple problem, but it requires an adjustment for the increased portion. In this case, a person dies leaving true grandmother, wife, German sister, and sa consanguine sister. He left the net estate for 390,000 to distribute the inheritance. So the shares involved are 1/6, 1/4, 1/2, and 1/6. So but this involves padakol. So pwede siyang ma-divide to each other, and the root of the problem would result to 12. So in this case, dahil na-divide na siya to 12, the portions would be 2, 3, 6, and 2. Pero pag in-add mo siya, 13. But the root of the problem is 12. So in this case, mag-a-adjust, or there has to be increase into 1. So magiging 13 na yung increased root of the problem. So 390,000 divided by the increased root of the problem would result to 30,000. So times lang yun, multiply to the adjusted portion would result to the net shares. Okay, so highlights. So my first highlight is, if there are 2 or more shares, the one is taken from the first kind and the other is taken from the second kind. The rules as follows: yung 1/2 plus with the second kind would result to 6, and 1/4 with the second kind would result to 12, and then 1/8 with the second kind would result to 24. I find this rule very convenient because you don't need to solve for the least common multiple or the smallest number that could divide the denominators. So when you see these numbers in the problem, you can immediately provide the least common multiple or smallest number that could divide the denominators. So another highlight naman is also another shortcut to understanding on how to find a minimum number from which the share of every heir may be taken from without any fraction. So if this is actually parang shortcut lang siya on how to understand. So the first is mutamitilan, which is exactly the same. Mutadakilan, which is a bigger number can be divided by the smaller. one than the two numbers. So mutawahikan, if the bigger number cannot be divided by a smaller one, but both can be divided by another number. And lastly, yung mutabainan, which is the contradictory number if they cannot be divided by another number. So VIP is the rule of the juz al-siham. Kasi it refers to the derived number used to correct the root of the problem and the portions allotted to heirs in a case that requires doctrine of correction. So this is used in the rectification of the solution in order to avoid decimal points or broken numbers in the distribution of inheritance. So this suggests that any case broken numbers or fractional form or portions or corrected portions should not exist at any point during the distribution of the inheritance. So yun po. That concludes my report po. Thank you.
Thank you very much, mashallah. I hope everyone listened properly. I think ito yung pinakamadugo sa succession. When we're talking about the subject, al-fara'id, or this Islamic law on succession and inheritance, okay, we can memorize the theories, the wisdom behind the laws. We can the basis we can memorize from the Quran, from the Sunnah. But what is really important is applying this theoretical aspect or this those bases from the Quran and Sunnah and apply it in a real case. So we should, as particularly as who are studying this Muslim law, inheritance and succession, we should have the skill, the correct skill on how to properly distribute or distribute the estate of a dissident. So we should know how to we should learn or we should know by heart the shares of each heirs, and also another important topic that we will discuss next meeting is the exclusion. It is very important because making a mistake, giving a share to someone who is excluded is really a big mistake. It will tantamount to giving or bypassing or trespassing or transgressing the rights of the heirs, transgressing the rights of the rightful heirs. So I hope that everyone will really give importance on these skills, particularly this division and distribution of the estate of the dissident. Okay, so if you have any question regarding that, if hindi masyadong may hindi klaro, do not hesitate. Actually, mahirap to. No? You need to really study or really practice with cases so that you will master it. No? Hindi lang siya kakayanin ng isang daanan lang. Although, no, siguro, lalo na kung magaling kayo sa math, no? I find it among my students who are really good in math, may mga graduate ng accountancy, they can really get this easily. They can master it easily. So ang usual naman na nagiging problema lang talaga nila is yung sa exclusion. Rules on exclusion doon sa hujub, no? Al-hajb. Anyway, we will discuss that also later on. So any questions? Who will go next? Meron bang prepared to report? O wala na? Nandito pa ba? Mag-raise ng hand.
Mamaya na ako, Prof.
Kaso wala na ata magre-report. Kayo lang ata ni Abdul Malik, Miss Abdul Malik ang may prepared, no? Si Ma'am Saber nasa daanan. Okay. Okay. May ano na daw si Ma'am Saber. Okay. So, si Muhammad, كيف؟
Prof, may tanong ako.
غير أيوة تفضل.
Meron bang mga tarika na maaaring maintindihan ito ng ng
Mas mad
may mga keys na mulakas na may mga madaling tandaan.
Okay. So siguro yun nga ang dapat, no? I-present nyo para mas madali yung dapat madali yung maalala, no? Madali yung ma-master dapat itong topic na to. So anyway, no, siguro isang pinaka basic sa lahat dapat ay yung ma-master natin yung sino ba yung mga ashabul furud o yung usual na ears, no? Kung isusulat kasi natin lahat ng ears, no, dapat kaya nyong isulat yun, no? Kung kaya nyong ma-enumerate. So if we're gonna make a graph, no, for this line, ascendants, no, ito yung mga parents. Then sa baba, descendants, mga anak. Then sa left naman at sa right, ito yung mga collateral, no? Siguro sa left, doon natin nilagay yung mga kapatid sa yung further left, no, kapatid sa nanay, then further right naman sa tatay, then yung sa medyo sa middle ay mga germane, no, yung full blood, no. So sino ba yung mga sabi natin na palaging nakaka-inherit? So first siguro yung father, no? Father. So this one, father. Father. Then meron din tayong mother. Sino pa bang makaka-inherit?
Grandmother, sir.
Yes. Yes. So mother dito, no? So meron din tayong tinatawag na true grandfather. In case nawala yung tapat na lang natin. So dito mother. True grandfather. Then true grandmother. Okay. So yan yung sa ascendants. At how high soever. Pataas na yan. Then sa descendants, we have, of course, son, wala siyang fixed share. But palagi siyang hindi nawawala. No? Then we have daughter. Daughter. Then we have son's daughter. Makakamana. And then son's na lang dito. Then son's daughter dito. However, how low soever. Pababa na yan. Then we have a husband. Merong husband. So sa mga lalaki pa rin yun. So husband. Then meron tayong wife. Then dito naman, meron tayong yung na-mention na may mga share. Yung uterine brother. Tsaka uterine sister. No? Uterine brother, uterine sister. Then dito, ano pa ba? Sisters, no? Yung mga, eto na yung actually yung mga may mga share, no? Ang tatanda natin, ang Quranic shares, 12 sila. So ilan na ba to? Wala pa yung sister. So sister. No, sister. Then, or GS na lang, germane sister. Tapos dito naman, germane brother. Pwede nating FB, FS. Full blood sister, full sister at full brother. Then meron tayong ditong consanguine sister. No, consanguine sister. Meron din tayong consanguine brother. Okay. So, importante ito dahil kung gaano kalapit siya doon, no, yung Al-Jabari rule, ang palaging unang titingnan natin is una sino yung pinakamalapit, no, doon. So, yung pinakamalapit, ma-exclude niya yung mas malayo. Then, yung ano naman, yung relationship naman, no, yung ano niya, kung ito ba ay full na relationship, full blood ba? So, yung full blood, ma-exclude niya yung mga half, no? Half sister, kunyari consanguine sister or consanguine brother. So ngayon, you have to identify naman yung shares na ito, no? So ang sa true grandfather, no, 1/6, sabi nga nila kung i-consider natin yung marami kasing opinion, no, regarding the true grandfather. So yung kay Omar at saka kay Abu Bakar radhiyallahu anhuma, al-jaddu kal-ab. So ang true grandfather daw ay parang katulad lang ng father. But yung iba at yung inadapt ng ng Code of Muslim Personal Laws, ang kanyang inadapt is that ang true grandfather ay hindi katulad ng father. Importante 'yon dahil ang father actually can exclude all the collaterals, no? Lahat ng mga kapatid ng namatay excluded 'yon, no? Lalo na yung no, lahat ng kapatid niya excluded ng father. Pero ang true grandfather hindi niya magagawa yan. So, and 1/6 plus residue, no? Or sometimes residue na lang. So, ang true grandfather at father, sabi sa opinion ni Abu Bakar at saka si Omar bin al-Khattab ay parang parehas lang daw. So, ang true grandmother naman, 1/6 yan. So, ang mother, so meron siyang 1/6. Meron din siyang share na 1/3. Then meron din siyang share na 1/3 of residue. Dapat ma-master nyo itong mga shares and ano yung conditions when and how they will get these shares. So ang husband, meron siyang share na 1/2 at saka 1/4. Ito naman ay residuary to. Residuary. Meron din to. Residuary. So ang wife naman, meron siyang share na 1/4 or 1/8. So ang sister, tsaka ito, pares lang sila. 1/2, 2/3, or residuary together with another. Yan ang sa sister. Sa consanguine sister, may additional na 1/6 dyan. Pwede makash. So ang uterine brother and sister, fix sila na 1/6 and 1/3, no? May and 1/3 kung dalawa pataas, share sila diyan. Ang son, residue siya, no? Residue palagi. Ang daughter, parang katulad lang yan ng yung sister, parang katulad ng daughter. So meron siyang 1/2 kung nag-iisa, 2/3 kung dalawa pataas sila, walang ano. Then residue, no, in another's right kapag kasama niya yung brother niya, residuary in another's right, RIAR. Yan. Then ang son, ganun din, residue. Tsaka REAR, Parang katulad din to. Residuary in its own right at saka residuary in another's right. Ito rin pala. Kailangan yan may rear din yan. Pagkasama niya, sister niya. Then, ang son's daughter, parang katulad lang din ng daughter. Pero may additional yan, yung 1/6. Takmilatan, li, thulutain. To complete the 2/3. Then 1/2, kung nag-iisa siya. So, nakakuha ng 1/6 ang son's daughter kung may isang daughter. No? Ang tagapagmana, may daughter, tapos may son's daughter. So, ang daughter makakuha ng 1/2, ang son's daughter makakuha ng 1/6 to complete the maximum share of a female, which is 2/3. Then 2/3. 2/3. Then mag-rear. Nakalimutan ko. Sa mga babae din may RTW to. Together with another. Ibig sabihin puro babae yan. No? Residuary yan. Ang sisters and daughters. So basically ito yung kailangan nyo i-master. So yung mga iba, yung mga malayo na or yung katulad nung mga paternal uncle, germane uncle or other paternal uncle, tapos iba pa, no? So palayo ng palayo 'yon, no? At ito ay ito yung mga pinakamalapit, no? So ito yung dapat na ma-master nyo at malaman nyo kung kailan siya dapat kailan sila makuha ng ganitong share. So we will have a discussion further discussion on that patungkol dito. Kasi nandiyan yung magre-report later tayo. Iba pang kung may mga tanong kayo, sagutin natin. Yes. Si Ma'am Saber na ba? Then mamaya si Bakri after.
Yes, sir. Sir, I think yung nakuha ko pong kasi online lang po ang sources ko kasi kababalik ko lang po sa Pilipinas. So parang hindi po yata parang more on theoretical yung maire-report ko. I-report ko na rin pero I would ask permission to correct it kasi parang nakita ko yung kay Miss Abdul Malik parang yun po yung pinakatamang doon sa assignment. Pero for purposes of reporting lang, sir, magre-report lang po ako, sir.
Yes, please proceed. Welcome back to the Philippines. No? Ahlan wa sahlan.
Salamat, sir. Lagi akong naliligaw ho dito. Wait lang po. Dito na nga lang po.
Mag-prepare na rin si Bakri.
Dito naman po ako ulit napunta. Assalamualaikum, sir, brother or sisters. So ito po yung report ko. Okay, so I have 3 questions here. What is the concept of Islamic legal succession? What is the method of distribution of inheritance? What are the inheritance portions? Number 1, so sabi ko nga po more on theoretical pero hindi ko po nakuha yung may computation, sir. So the Islamic law of succession is based on a system of rights that accrue to the legal heirs of the deceased by operation of law. Surviving relatives of the deceased are marshaled into an order of precedence based upon a class and degree and strength of blood relationship. As a class, descendant precede ascendants, who in turn precede the issue of the parents and finally the issue of the grandparents. Within each class, the relative nearer in degree to the prepositus exclude the more remote one, and among collateral relatives who are equal in degree, the germane relative excludes the consanguine. So yung na-discuss po kanina ni Sir. So there are 3 major principles. The first principle, only limited female relatives are entitled widow, daughter, or agnatic granddaughter, the mother or grandmother, and the sisters, the germane, consanguine, or uterine. The second principles is the females, when not competing with male, identical blood relationship take a defined fractional portion of the estate. The size of the portion varies according to the nature of numbers of competing heirs. Meron pa po bang pangatlo? Parang may pangatlo po yata. Sir, sorry po sir, makikibasa yung pangatlo.
The third principle is the prerogative of male residuaries.
Opo, sir. Pero hindi ko po yata nakompleto yan. Parang may kulang po dyan eh. Wala pong explanation. But then I'll proceed na lang din po. What are the methods of distribution of inheritance portions? Per capita distribution method is majorly used in the Sunni law. Based on this method, the estate left over by the ancestors gets equally distributed among the heirs. Therefore, the share of each person depends on the number of heirs. I don't know how to apply this since we are following the Sunni law. Tama po ba, sir? And per strip distribution method is recognized in the Shia law. Based on this method, the property gets distributed among the heirs according to the strip they belong. Hence, quantum of their inheritance also depends upon the branch and the number of persons that belong to the branch. In a Philippine Civil Code, ang understanding ko po kasi per capita on its own, wala silang nire-represent. Yung per strip may nire-represent sila. For example, father dies and then may mga anak po siya. Yung isa sa mga anak niya namatay na. So may mga apo yung namatay. So yung mga apo magmamana per strip or per stirpes. Pero hindi ko po ganun kasigurado kung ano yung ganun din po yung application nito under Islamic law. I'll just proceed, sir.
Yes.
What is the methods? Sir, yes, sir.
Yes, yung sa as I have said, we have already discussed this na daan-daan natin. There's no right of representation sa Islamic law, no, on inheritance.
Yes, sir.
But ang binigay lang na exemption dito ng PDT 83, yung sa Article 107, yung bequest by operation of law. So in
Yes, sir.
case na yung may nangyaring simultaneous death o yung nauna, no, so pwedeng makuha nung 1/3 of their supposed share, no, pero wala nga tayong
Representation.
right of representation.
So per capita po lahat yung application na sinusunod natin.
Yes.
Mabusa.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Noted po. Okay, what is the methods of distribution of inheritance portion? Again, theoretical lang din po yung sa akin after taking care of the funeral expenses and after the payment of debts owed by the deceased. If that was the case, if there remains something left over, it should be seen whether or not the deceased has made a valid will concerning his inheritance. If he has not done so, the leftover will be all distributed among the heirs. So, without the will, the portion shall be given per capita or per strip. Actually, dinigdag ko lang po itong per strip. Parang kasi kanina po hindi ko pa naiintindihan yung hindi ko pa po masyadong maintindihan. So, with the valid will, 2/3 portion will be given to the heirs only. Then 1/3 portion will take care of the will, whether or not this 1/3 is good enough to execute the will in full. Sir, ito rin yung another question ko kasi sorry po, lagi ko sa binibasis sa civil code, sir eh. Kunyari so kunyari ito or siguro aaralin ko po yung sa atin. Sorry po.
Then it's okay, you can ask. Yung dito sa will, ang sabi nga natin, no, sa wasiya, ang maximum na pwede lang ibigay na wasiya is 1/3. If it satisfies the 1/3, walang tanong doon, no? That's the right of the decedent. Karapatan niya yun. Ang maximum lang na pwede niyang i-dispose as a will, no, ay yung 1/3. So if it that's the maximum. Na if it exceeds that 1/3, it will need the
Reduction.
it will yes, pag hindi nag-agree yung mga at hindi to ni-ratify ng mga ears, 1/3 lang ang maximum. Mababawasan. For example, 1/2. So magiging 1/3. Hindi ma-implement yung remaining. At yung iba naman, no, kung mag-ratify yung mga ears, lahat mag-agree, okay, that's the will of our parents, no, parents. So tatay natin. So ibigyan na natin, no, kasi yan ang gusto niya. So okay lang 'yon. Okay lang din 'yon na mag-exceed sa 1/3. Pero ngayon sabi natin, ang pwede lang i-dispose sa will o yung sinasabi natin na disposable 1/3, 'yun lang ang pwedeng sa isang sa dissident, 'yun ang right niya na gawing uh, i-allot as a will, no?
Sir, tanong ko lang po, ano po yung first na isa-satisfy, yung 2/3 portion?
Hindi, ang will mauna, 'di ba? After
Po.
the debts, lahat ng utang, una funeral expenses, o lahat ng related sa funeral expenses, no? Hindi lang yung pang sa yung white cloth, yung sa lupa na bibilhan kung saan lilibing, lahat ng mga gastos doon, funeral expenses. Then yung debts, no, lahat ng debts, na lahat ng utang, no, utang niya sa gobyerno lahat, no. Then after that, yung matitira, yung unang itatanggalin ay yung will, no, yung wasiya, no, kasi na hanggang doon right pa kasi yun ng namatay, no, hanggang doon. Then yung matitira na doon after na ng will, yun na yung right na ng mga heirs.
Sir, kahit na po mapunta doon sa, kunyari, pinamana niya yung 1/3 doon sa kaibigan lang, pero kahit na po yung 2/3 portion ay yung minana ng sarili niyang anak ay mas maliit pa kaysa doon sa minana ng kaibigan niya, okay lang po yun, no? Basta under Muslim law, tama po?
Hindi magiging mas malaki yung will kaysa doon sa makukuha ng mga heirs. No, kasi sabi nga natin, yung total estate, no, kunyari natanggal na yung funeral expenses at saka mga utang. So, ang matitira, no, ang titingnan doon yung will, kung ang will ay sobra sa 1/3 sa total na what's left on the estate, yun lang ang ma-implement, no? So sabi pa nga ng ibang mga scholars, invalid yung will na susobra sa 1/3. Ibig sabihin ng invalid, if it's void, ibig sabihin hindi ito ma-implement talaga. Pero yung ibang scholar, sabi nila, ma-implement but the maximum is yung 1/3. So hindi pwedeng maging mas malaki yung makuha ng nasa yung nasa will, no, yung mag-receive yung legatee, no, kaysa doon sa mga heirs. Yung
Okay.
total lang sinasabi natin, yung total portion. Maaari by individual,
Individual po, yes
pag
sir.
kung individual, for example, ang naiwang anak ay daughter. Pero actually malaki pa rin ang nakukuha, no? Kung daughter, so 1/2, no? So 1/2 ng 2/3, anong 1/2 ng 2/3? So ano yan? Ano bang 1/2 ng 2/3? So yun ang magiging makukuha ng daughter.
Okay,
So
sir.
1/2 ng 2/3 ay 1/3 din. So magiging equal lang dun sa ano.
Okay, sir. Sir, I'll proceed na po, sir?
Yes, please.
Okay, sir. Diniscuss ko po ito. Ito po kasi nakita ko na sa sources, what are the rules determining the divisor if something still remains after the execution of all wills from this 1/3, that too shall belong to the heirs. So parang if for more than one will, the same rule applies, that is execute as many of them as is it possible within the limit of 1/3. Leave the rest because the fulfillment and execution of remaining wills is not incumbent on the heirs. So the same with adult heirs present on the spot can fulfill the remaining part of the will made by this deceased if they wish to do so, but this has to be out of their own accord from their own respective shares. However, it is not permissible to use the share of minor, insane, or absent heir in what is being spent over and above the limit of 1/3. So, parang sinasabi rito, sir, yung sa legatee, 1/3, pag hindi ma-fulfill, hindi pwedeng kunin po sa minor, sa insane, or sa absent share para po ma-fulfill lang yung 1/3. Therefore, in the event that
Yung
someone...
more than sa 1/3.
Yung more than sa 1/3. Opo, sir. Therefore, in the event that someone among the heirs is absent or is a minor or is insane, spend 1/3 to cover the will, and after that, distribute the remaining 2/3 among the heirs in accordance with the share fixed by Sharia. Once done, anyone among the adult and share insane heirs is free to fulfill the remaining part of the will made by the deceased at his discretion and from his share. My personal reflection or highlight, sir, Islamic law provides very important provision that protects the absentee, the insane, and the minor, which cannot be left at the discretion of the adult heirs. And Article 43, just to point out, Article 143 B, the Sharia District Court shall have exclusive original jurisdiction over cases, all cases involving disposition, distribution, and settlement of the estate of deceased Muslim, probate of wills, issuance of letters of administration, or appointment of administration or executors, regardless of the nature or aggregate value of the property. So, pinoint out ko lang po dito, sir, that even walang will, so still the Sharia District Court shall have the exclusive original jurisdiction pag may mga problema doon sa hatian. And if there's a will, the Sharia District Court shall serve as a probate court. And other matters pertaining to the estate of will, regardless of the value of the property. And very important point, the Quran lays down rules that are essentially simple if correctly applied, and above all, it enjoins people to write a will for the equitable disposition of their assets after their death. Yes, sir. So yun po ang report ko. Sorry po. I know it's not responsive to the assignment, but I would like permission to correct it, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think additional na lang yung magkaroon ng computation. Okay, so yung mga tanong nyo, and clarification later, ilagay nyo lang sa chat box. Okay, so next, who will go and proceed? Ready na si Muhammad.
Yes, Prof. Susubukan po.
Yalla,
Para
tafadhal.
magkakaalaman na. Prof, pipindutin ko yung live transcript. Ano ito pipindutin ko sa ano?
Share screen. Share screen mo. Tapos piliin mo. Kung naka-open na yung ano mo, PowerPoint mo, piliin mo lang.
Ayun po. Nakikita po, Prof. Okay na po.
Yes. تفضل.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا Muhammad وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Unang-una po, umanhin po sa audio, baka meron po kayong naririnig na pumupukpok dahil meron pong ginagawa dito sa tabi ng bahay namin for the World Cup po. So napakaingay ng area namin, wala na natutulog na tao dito. Assignment number 5, the concept of legal succession, settlement, and partition of estate, methods on distribution of inheritance, partitions, تقسيم التركة, and also أصول المسائل and التأصيل. The last is the doctrine of correction or تصحيح. I have 3 questions. First question, what are the concepts of legal succession? Second is who is allowed to administer the partition of estate? Third is how to determine the root of the problem. So what are the concepts of legal succession? According to different madahib, the first priority to receive the inheritance will be the sharers, or ashabul furud. Technically, ashabul furud, the heirs which inheritance are ordained by Allah in the Quran. They are also referred as Quranic heirs. In article number 10 of PD 110 of PD 1083, it says that the heirs are the husband, or the sharers are the husband, the wife, the father, the mother, the grandmother, the grandfather, the daughter, and the son's daughter in direct line, the full sister, the consanguine sister, the uterine sister, and the uterine brother. Next to Ashabul Furud will be residuary heirs, or Al-Asaba. In Article 124 of PD 1083, Al-Asaba is any residue left after the distribution of the shares shall be partitioned among the residuaries in accordance with the following articles. An heir may succeed as residuary in his own right, Al-Asaba bin Nafs, in another's right. It's called in Arabic Asaba bil Ghayr, or together with another Asaba ma'al Ghayr. So technically, the Asaba is an heir who is related to the deceased through a male link. May kulang ata dito. So for example, son's daughter, the father or father's father. So may kinalaman siya sa lalaki na side. So 3 kinds of residuaries: Asaba bin Nafs, Asaba bin Nafs are those male relatives deceased who are residuaries in their own right. It is mentioned in PR 1083, article number 125. The second is Al-Asaba bil Ghayr, who is a female heir who, on account of presence, wait lang po, saglit lang po. Al-Asaba bil Ghayr, who is female heir, who, on account of the presence of another male heir, becomes an Asaba in right of her male co-heir and partner in being an Asaba. So this is mentioned also in PL 1083, article 126. The third one is Al-Asaba ma'al Ghayr. Is a female heir who, on account of presence of another female heir. So yung Asaba bil Ghayr is mayroon siyang kapatid na lalaki. Mayroon siyang kasamang lalaki sa pagmamana. So ito, Al-Asaba ma'al Ghayr is female heir who, on account of presence of another female heir, becomes an Asaba without necessarily making that other heir her partner as much. So this is mentioned also in PR 1083, article number 127. After Al-Asaba, the next group of people who are entitled to inherit are the distant kindred, or Dhul Arham. This refers to those relatives of deceased other than the sharer and residuaries. So in PD 1083, article number 131, relatives included, distant kindred includes the following: the daughters, children, and the children of the son's daughter and their descendants. The excluded grandfather and the excluded grandmother, the sister's children, the brother's daughters and sons of the uterine brother and their descendants, and the paternal aunts, the uterine uncles, and the maternal aunts and uncles. So, who is allowed to administer the partition of estate? According to PL 1083, article number 133, the administration of the estate of a dissident shall, for purposes of settlement, vest at the time of his death in the executor appointed in the will or in the absence thereof in his heir or administrator to whom the court has granted letter of administration. According to early concept of Muslim law, there was no administration through an administrator, but the estate are merely distributed by the Islamic State through the qadi or the judge of by heirs themselves in accordance with the principle laid down in the Quran or in the Sharia. So this is what Arabani said in his book. When it comes to governing law, the court shall take into consideration the madhab of the dissident. If the dissident's madhab is not known, the Shafi'i madhab may give preference. So how to determine the root of the problem? Methodology of determining the shares of the heirs. Firstly, determine the net estate of the dissident by deducting all claims and charges from his gross estate in accordance with the order of preference prescribed in PD 1083 article number 135. Second is determining the rule of exclusion of heirs under PD 1083 article number 123 and who are the residuaries entitled with residue of the estate after the fixed shares of sharers are settled by applying the rules of preference among the residuaries. Third is determining the root of the problem. So ito yung root of the problem. Determining the root of the problem. Usul masail to get the root of the problem or common factor. First, we have to examine the relationship of the numbers of the denominators of the appointed or fixed sharers of the shares of the sharers. So the numbers usually involved are 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. Classification of numbers are two types, at-tamathul and at-takhaluf. At-takhaluf, there are three types, takhaluf at-tadakhul, takhaluf at-tabayun, and takhaluf at-tawafuq. Tamathul, when the number of denominators of the fixed or appointed shares of the shares are equal to each other or the same. Example, 2 and 3, 3 and 3, 4 and 4, 6 and 6. So parehas sila ng numbers. The technique is to use the same number as the very root of problem and divided the denominator of the fixed or appointed sharers of each share by the same number. For example, a wife died. Example of tamathul, a wife died and is survived by her husband and her full sister. The fixed share of the husband is 1/2 and the full sister is another 1/2. The common denominator is 2. The root of the problem or common factor therefore is number 2. So 2 divided by 2 equals to 1. 1 share of the husband and 2 divided by 2 is equals to 1 share of full sister. So dalawa lang silang maghahati. Takhaluf means when the denominators of the appointed or fixed shares of the sharers are dissimilar or disappropriate to each other, which is further subclassified into 3. Yung una, takhaluf at-tadakhul. For example, a man died leaving behind as heirs his surviving wife and full sister. The fixed or appointed share of the wife is 1/4, while that of the full sister is 1/2. The denominators of their respective shares are 2 and 4. Applying the principle of takhaluf at-tadakhul, we simply use the higher number, which is 4, as the root of the problem. So ito siya, 4 divided by 4 equals to 1 share of the wife, and 4 divided by 2 equals 2 share of the full sister. So yung matitira na isa is residue. Yung isang share na matitira ay mapupunta sa residue. So pangalawa, takhaluf at-tabayun, when the denominators of the appointed or fixed shares of the shares are not only disproportionate but also contradictory to each other or consist of odd and even numbers. So hindi sila parehas tulad, hindi pare-parehas tulad nung tamathol. So this is 2 and 3, 3 and 4. To get the root of the problem, simply multiply both number, 2 times 3, 3 times 4, 2 times 3 equals 6, 3 times 4 equals, kung ano yung resulta niya, yun yung RP niya. For example, a woman died leaving as only heirs her mother and full sister. The fixed appointed share of the mother is 1/3, while that of the full sister is 1/2. To get the root of the problem, simply multiply the denominators of their respective shares, which is 3 and 2, and result in which is 6 is the root of the problem. So ito siya, 6 divided by 3 equals to 2 share of the mother, and 6 divided by 2 equals to 3 share of full sister. So yung matitira na isang share will belong to the residue. تخالف التوافق. While the denominators are fixed or appointed, shares of the sharers are even numbers which are not visible with one another. Example, 4 and 6, 6 and 8, but can, however, be reconciled by finding for the smallest number divisor that could divide either of the denominators or the fixed or appointed shares of sharers without leaving any remainder, and the result thereof multiplying it with the denominators of other fixed share in order to get the root of the problem. So ito siya, hindi ko siya nalagyan ng halimbawa dahil hindi ko siya masyado naiintindihan. So inshallah mapag-aralan pa po namin sa inyo at mas maunawaan pa namin. So the next is tashih, the doctrine of correction. So kung may mga mali doon sa paghati-hati, siguro ito yung solusyon, yung tashih. The doctrine of correction comes into use when upon totaling all the units of the shares of all the ears is to happen that the share of an ears coexisting with the another ears be less or different from the lawfully fixed. So the Sunni lawyers made a solution called tashih. So ito yung ginagawa nilang solution. So hindi rin po ako nakapaglagay ng halimbawa dahil hindi po masyadong malinaw po. So hanggang dito na lang po yung aking report po. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay. So, alhamdulillah. So, siguro let's have a short discussion. Patungkol dun, particularly dun sa ano natin, yung computation. So, ang tatanda lang natin, no, sa basta naalala natin, no, alam sino ba yung mga ears at saka ano. So, napakadali lang, no, kung lahat ng matitirang ears ay puro residuary, no. So, napakadali lang kapag residuary ears, no, kahit alin dun sa tatlong klase ng residuary, yung bin-nafs o yung by in its own right, residuary in their own right, residuary in another's right, and residuary together with another, no. Asaba ma'al ghair, asaba bil ghair. Asaba bil ghair o asaba ma'al ghair. So, madali lang yung kasi ang bibilangin mo lang ay yung number of heads, then after that, yun ang i-divide mo na kaagad. Then kung ito naman, yung may mga sharers at saka residuary ears magkasama, so ang tatandaan naman doon yung shares nila, no? Kanina na-discuss natin yung mga shares. So, yung kaninang na-discuss na yung tamathol, no? Yung tamathol at saka yung takhalof, no? Takhalof na mutadakhilan, no? Kasi yung takhalof, tamathol at saka takhalof, no? Yun yung tamathol same na sila. So kung same lang yung ano nila, ihatiin mo lang sa kanila yon, no? Base sa kanilang base dun sa kanilang dami, no? So hatiin mo na lang kaagad. Madali lang yung root of the problem, no? So dun sa tamathol, rami nang binigay na example katulad nung husband at saka full blood sister silang naiwan. So kung parehas 1/2 yon, so hatiin mo na lang sa kanila yon. So yung tadakol naman, madali rin yung tadakol kasi ibig sabihin nun yung bigger number ay divided by the smaller number, no? So kung yun ang nangyari, madali na, no? So kasi gagamitin mo lang yung bigger number. Sana klaro 'yon, no? Yung sinasabi natin. So tamathol, no? Tamathol. Text na lang. So yung tamathol, very easy, no? Tamathol, sabi nga natin same number, no? Same 'yan, same number, same share, no? Then ang tadakol naman, tadakol yung bigger number ay divisible by the smaller number. So yung bigger share is divisible, no? Divisible by the smaller share. So katulad ng 1/6, aminin natin na ano rito yung ano niya, no, yung divisor nila, no? All we're talking about is yung divisor, yung denominator nila, no? Kung sa fraction ang pinag-usapan natin, yung denominator, no? Kasi kung ang fraction, 'di ba, meron tayong numerator at saka denominator. Yung numerator sa taas, yung denominator yung sa baba. So, next naman ay yung tawafuk, no? Tawafuk. So ang tawafuk naman, they are different number but meron silang tinatawag natin na LCM, no? Yung least common multiple, no? So ang gagawin mo lang doon ay kunin yung least common multiple o yung ano mo lang, then ita-times mo lahat yung multiple na yon, then magiging yun ang magiging share, no? Yun ang magiging root of the problem, aslul mas'ala. Ang minimin natin na aslul mas'ala, yung root of the problem, yun ang gagamitin mong divisor, no? Yun ang divisor na gagamitin mo para i-divide yung kung ano mang naiwang yaman, no? Ano mang naiwang yaman. So sa tawafuk example, yung 6 at saka 4, no? And 4. So ang 6 hindi siya totally divisible by 4. Pero both of them are divided by 2. So kung titingnan natin, para makuha natin yan, napakadali lang makuha niyan kasi gagawin mo lang is yung least common multiple nila, no? So sa itong 4 divided by 2, so magiging 2 yan, no? 2 times 2, 4. So ang 6 naman ay 2 times 3 equals 6. So ita-times mo lang yon yung 2 times 2 times 3, no? Or yung sabi nga nila, kunin mo lang yung kalahati, then i-divide mo doon sa kunin mo yung kalahati ng 6, i-times mo doon sa 4, magiging 12. Kunin mo yung kalahati ng 4, i-times mo doon sa 6, magiging 12. So parehas lang, no? 3 times 4 is 12, 2 times 6 is 12. Ganun din, no? Pero kung titingnan mo, para makuha mo yung ito yung mga parang basic sa elementary na nakakalimutan natin, no? So yan, tawafuk. Then ang pinaka ano naman yung tabayon, no? Ang tabayon usually ita-times mo lang, i-multiply mo lang yung number, no? Lalo na yung talagang lalo kung dalawa, no? Kung tatlo yung mga years o pataas, titingnan mo lang yung pinaka yung least common multiple naman nila ulit, no? Yung ano ba, tama ba, o yung greatest common factor nila, no? Yun ang titingnan mo, kukunin mo. So kung kunyari 1/6, no, 1/6, tapos meron ding 1/2, merong 1/2, then meron ding 1/4. Actually, ano lang naman sila. 1/3, no? Kung 1/3, no? So 6 to 3. So madali lang yung ganyan, no? Kasi ito times mo lang yung 2 at saka 6. Actually, pwede na yan, no? 12 divisible na yan sa ano. So, kung dagdagan pa natin ng 4, no? So, parehas lahat 12. Anyway, nabigay yung example, no? Magbigay tayo ulit ng example dito. So, eto nga yung kaninang report ni Miss Abdul Malik, no? Kung lahat daw, no, according to the law on inheritance, after surveying their yung mga shares, no, ito daw yung pwede mo silang i-divide into two kinds, no. So yung first kind, 1/2, 1/4, and 1/8, no. So pag ganito, kukunin mo lang yung pinakamalaki, no, which is yung 8, no. So yan na yung magiging root of the problem. So yung second kind naman, 2/3, 1/3, at saka 1/6. So ang root of the problem din dito ay yung pinakamalaki, which is 6, no? Then kung mix naman daw yung share ng yung first kind at saka second kind, kung 1/2 plus any of the second kind, no? 1/2 tapos pili ka rito kahit alin dito, ang magiging root of the problem mo ay 6. Kung 1/4 tapos any of this dito sa given dito sa second kind, no? 2/3 man yan, 1/3 or 1/6, ang magiging root of the problem ay 12. No? Then kung 1/8, no? Then any of these dito sa second kind, ang kanyang magiging root of the problem ay 24. No? So ito yung shortcut. Kaya nga sabi ni Miss Abdul Malik, napakahalaga nito, no? Pag ito yung ano mo, hindi ka na masyadong magko-compute, no? Mabilisan. No? But I really suggest na talagang ma-master nyo. No, kahit wala to, kaya nyong i-compute, kaya nyong malaman ano ba yung root of the problem, yung aslul mas'ala. Kasi importante yung aslul mas'ala dahil dun mo yun ang magiging divisor ng yung estate na naiwan, no, pagdating na sa computation. So magbigay tayo ng example, no? Okay. So bigay tayo ng example, no? So example, ang namatay ay so nakaiwan ng wife, no? Wife. So ang decedent, naiwan niya ang wife, tapos mayroong one daughter. One daughter. Okay. Then merong father, no? Or yes. Pwede yung father. So ang magiging share ng wife ay dahil may anak, magiging 1/8. Then ang daughter ay 1/2. Kung gawin na natin itong 2 daughters. So magkakaroon ng 2/3. Then ang father ay 1/6. Actually 1/6 plus residue sa kanya. Kasi walang residuary heir. So dito, 1/8, 2/3, 1/6. So saan siya papasok dito? So dito siya dun sa mixed share. So sabi niya, kung yung 1/8 tapos any of the second kind, any dito, automatic daw na magiging root of the problem mo ay anong number? Ano magiging root of the problem niya? Magiging? Anyone? 24, no? So paano ba natin nakuha yung 24? Kasi yung 24 divisible by 8, divisible by 3, divisible by 6. Kung titingnan natin to, no, kung isi-simplify natin, no, kasi itong 8 ay 2 times 2 times 2, 2 times 2 times 2 magiging 8 yon. Then yung 3, 1 times 3, then ang 6 is 2 times 3. So i-divide mo, i-times mo lang yon, no? 2 times 2, no? So yung ano nga natin, no? Then times yung 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Kasi parehas lang yung 3. So magiging 8 times 3, 24. No? So palagi nyo titingnan, ang importante sa root of the problem, yung ROP, no? Yung ROP, dapat lahat ng mga shares ay divisible dito. No? So 24 divided by 8 ay 3. So 24 divided by 3, 8 times 2, 16. Then 24 divided by 6 ay 4. Tama ba?
Yes, sir.
4. Then, so ang magiging total nito ay 23. So merong sabi nga rito, ang sa father plus residue. So kanya plus 1 pa. Kasi ang residue nito, 24 minus 23 ay 1. So sa kanya magiging. So ang total lang share ng father ay 5. So kung mayroon tayong naiwan na yaman nung ano na 2.4M, no? 2.4M, namatay na lalaki, no? Si Fulan. So 2.4M divided by 24. So magiging 100,000 each portion. Each siham, no? Each portion. So 100,000 times 3. So times 100K. No? Ano ba nangyari dito? Times 100K. Ito rin times 100K. Times pala. 100K. Then ganun din so sa father. Times 100K. So ang sa daughters, dalawang daughters, meron silang 1.6M. Sa wife, meron siyang 300K. Sa father, meron siyang 500K. So yun ang pag ano, no? Actually, ang isang pinaka shortcut niyan, no? Pinaka shortcut na ginagawa, as long as you're able to get the root of the problem, enough na 'yon, no? Unless kung lalo na kung atin kayo ng Sharia bar exam, unless na ang tanong ay patungkol sa corrected root of the problem, no? CROP, no? The examiner wants to or asking how you compute for the corrected root of the problem. So doon napapasok yung juzu siham. Itong 2 ay juzu siham yan. So kailangan ita-times mo pa yan ng 2. Then lahat to, ta-times mo ng 2. Tsaka so 48, yun na magiging root bagong ROP. Tapos instead of dividing this 2.4M with 24, divide mo siya ng 48. No? So that's yun na rin yung sinasabi natin na tashihul mas'ala. No? Ang tashihul mas'ala, no, yung correction, no, of the root of the problem, yung doctrine of correction, ito ay para lang mapadali yung pagko-compute or para mas lalong maging klaro, no? Pero kung kayo lalo na actually sa ano, no, when it comes sa examination, actually lalo na kung may given, no? May given na estate, may amount, may money na estate, mas madali siya kung didiretsuhin mo na siya. As long as you know the root of the problem, directly, immediately, i-divide mo na yung estate doon sa root of the problem.
Sir,
Yes.
in this case po, so yung father nung deceased, makakakuha ng 500,000, 600,000 yung daughter, and 300,000 yung wife. Tama po, sir?
Hindi, yung daughters, makuha nila is 1.6M. Kasi dalawa sila. 2/3.
16 po pala. Okay, sorry.
Ah.
Okay, 1.6. Okay. 1.6. Okay. Tapos yung wife po ay 300,000 lang po. Tama po?
Yes, 300,000.
Okay, noted, sir. Kaya po pala mali yung computation. Kukulang ng 1. Okay, sir. Thank you.
So makikita natin actually very favorable palagi sa descendants yung computation, no? Palaging sa mga anak mas malaki. Okay.
Sir, pag may will, so yung 1/3 mapupunta po sa legatee, tama po. Pero kung may sobra pa rin po, magkakasobra po ba yun?
Alin?
Kunyari po may will, so 2/3 nandun na po sa heirs, and then yung 1/3 sa legatee. May instances na may sumusobra pa rin po doon, sir? May mga remainder pa rin po?
Wala actually. No,
Wala na kasi po
palaging sakto, walang naiiwan.
Okay.
No, kung may sumobra, yung sinasabi mo nga, yung instance na kunyari may sumusobra, yun yung sinasabi natin na doctrine of RAD. No, yung RAD naman ibabalik mo siya kung may sobra, no, after distributing, no, lahat na ng mga sharers, nakuha nila yung shares nila. Tapos may naiwan pa rin doon sa natitirang sa estate, may naiwan pa rin sa estate. Babalik ulit 'yon doon sa mga shares, no. So proportionately they will be divided sa kanila, no.
Pero wala na
Pero
po yung legatee doon, sir, na?
hindi kasama ang legatee at hindi na rin kasama yung spouses, any of the spouses.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Kasi doon lang ang share lang ng spouses, no, ay hanggang doon lang doon sa fixed share nila. So kung ano mang maiwan, doon na yun sa mga ibang sharers, no. Madadaanan din natin 'yan, no, yung sosobra at saka yung kanina na may nagbigay ng example si Miss Abdul Malik doon sa kulang, no. Paano naman pag kulang? No, sumobra, ang daming heirs. Lahat qualified, lahat sila ay rightful heirs, hindi sila excluded, no. So kulang yung sumobra, no, yung rami nila. So ang gagawin nun, proportionately din mababawasan, magdi-decrease yung mga shares ng bawat isa. May computation din 'yan. Siguro dadaanan din natin later on. Okay. So I think ito yung mga yung madali lang yung pagkuha, no. At least magkaroon kayo ng mga example. Siguro ang pinakamaganda talaga 'yan, example. Ito ibigay natin, no. The husband dies leaving his wife, daughter, father, and mother with an inheritance of 4,800 pesos. How much is the portion of each year? No? Litan lang natin yung number. O gawin mong 4.8 million yan. No? 4.8 million. So, husband dies leaving his wife. So, ano yung mga shares nila?
1/8, 2/3, saka 1/6, sir, plus residual.
So yung wife, okay, wife is 1/8, no? 1/8. Wife, no? Wife. Then ang daughter, 1/2. Father, 1/6 plus residue. Ano ba yan? Then ang mother ay 1/6. Bakit 1/6 ang mother? Dahil may descendant. Okay. So ang kanyang magiging root of the problem dito, sabi nga natin, yung 1/8, no? Pag may kasama siya doon sa second kind, automatic siya na 24. 24 divided by 8, so 3. 3 portions sa wife. Sa daughter, 24 divided by 2, so magiging 12. Sa father, 1/6, 24 divided by 6, so 4. Then sa mother ay 4. So, ilan yan? So, meron din tayong 23 ulit. So, sabi natin, residue ay babalik sa father. Plus 1. Okay? So, lahat ng matitira babalik sa father. So, 1. So, yan. Makukumpleto na natin yung 24. So, yung 48 na yan, kung 48M, i-divide mo sa 24. So, magiging tag
200. 2,000.
Yes, kung 4,800 lang, no, divided by the 24 ay magiging tag 200, no, 200 pesos, 200 pesos. So times 200, so magiging times 200 to.
600.
So 600 pesos sa kanya. Sa daughter ay times 200 din. So ang sa kanya ay magiging
1, 2.
2,400, no? 4.
Oo.
4. Kasi
Dalawa sila. Okay.
hindi, isa lang. Pero ano yun eh, di ba? Ang share niya is 12.
Okay.
12 portion. So sa father naman, times mo ulit sa 200. So sa kanya ay 1,000. Then sa mother, times 200. So ang makukuha niya ay 800. So yan ang magiging hatian nila. 600, 2,400, 1,000, then 800. So klaro yung ganyan, no? May tanong ba?
Klaro, Ustad.
Sa second, the wife dies leaving Jermaine, no? Jermaine's sister, mother, husband, and son's daughter. So meron daw. Ano yung mouse ko? So dito, meron siyang Jermaine's sister. Tsaka, meron daw mother. Then may husband. Then merong son's daughter. Okay. So paano ang shares nito? Can anyone? Jermaine's sister, ilan ang sa kanya? Baka sa mother, sa husband, may anong mga shares nila? Sige nga. Maging assignment niyo yan.
Sa mother, 1/6 1/6 sa mother.
1/6. Okay, 1/6 daw.
Tama ba?
1/2 po yata sa German sister.
1/2 sa Jermaine's sister. Yes. Ano niya si Miss Abdul Malik. Okay.
Tapos sa son's daughter ata 1/2 din. Tama ba?
1/2 daw.
Tama ba, Ustad?
Husband po 1/2 din.
1/2.
Wala na talaga pag math.
Hindi yan math. No, dun sa ano ba? Ano? Tama ba ang pagbigay nyo?
So pag sinabi pong 1/2, kalahati na agad yun, di ba? So dalawa na yung 1/2, so wala nang bibigyan yung iba. Tama po yun, di ba?
Sabi nga natin, pag sumobra, proportionately magdi-decrease ang shares ng bawat isa.
Mhm.
Baka
Lalo na
magkautang yung
kung-
patay, Prof. Baka magkautang yung patay.
Hindi yung pwede. So, ano? Review nyo nga kasi yung mga shares, no? Ang ano ba? Ang German sister at saka son's daughter, hindi ba sila residuary together with another? Asa ba ma'al ghair? Ganun ba? At saka ang son's daughter ba, hindi ba considered yan na kasama sa descendants?
1/6 son's daughter. Yun, tama na.
1/6 ba?
Yung husband po yata 1/4 kasi yung son's daughter.
Okay. So, 1/6 daw. I-review niyo yung notes nyo. Nasaan yung notes nyo?
Ayun, sir. Babalik.
Balik tayo dun sa table. Teka lang.
1/4 tama si Ma'am Nabila. Sa husband, 1/4 kasi merong son's daughter.
Daughter, no son.
Okay?
Two-thirds santos.
So, ang husband without descendants, no? So ibig sabihin, considered na descendant yung son's daughter, di ba? Tama ba?
Tama. Sir.
O
Tama o mali?
Son's daughter, 1/2, sir.
Okay, 1/2 ang son's daughter. Oh, German sister is RTA together with another. So ano yung kaninang ano natin? Mga given natin? So we have kanina, husband.
Husband.
And ano ba to? German sister, mother, husband, tsaka son's daughter.
German sister. Saka son's daughter.
Sir, bali 2/3 lang sa sister kasi ano siya, merong ano, may kasi ay
So,
hindi, 1/2 lang po pala, 1/2 po tama. German sister.
ang unang bibigyan natin, no, mag-start tayo doon. So palagi natin i-priority yung ano, no, yung
Husband.
husband. So bigyan natin yung descendants muna. Ano bang descendants? So 1/2, no?
1/2.
Tapos so ito ay residuary. Then ang mother ay 1/6 dahil may descendant. Tapos ang husband ay 1/4.
1/4.
So, kung i-consider natin na descendant ang son's daughter, so siya ay magiging 1/4. So, yan ang magiging ano natin, no? Portions nila. 1/4 dahil may descendant because of the existence of son's daughter. 1/6, the mother shall receive 1/6 because of the existence of a descendant, son's daughter. Then, ang German sister will inherit as a residuary together with another. So that's ang residuary together with another ay pag ito siya, no? Kapag parehas babae, no? Pag parehas babae.
Yun lang po.
So anong mangyari rito? Ang ating aslul mas'ala, ang ating root of the problem ay again 24 ba o 12? 12, no?
Pwedeng 12, sir. 12.
12 ang mas tama, no? 12. Yung pinakamaliit. So 12. So divide by 4 magiging 3. By 6, 2. So by 2 ay 6. Then 6 plus 3, 9 plus 2, 11. So 1. So yan ang mga ano. So ano yung pera kanina? Given na pera? So at least yan ang ano natin. Divide by 12 na, no? So tama na ba yan? Alin?
3,000 po yung given na pera.
Okay.
3,000 pesos.
So ano, ito ba? Agree ba tayo rito? Tama ba tong computation natin o dapat 1/2 sa husband?
Sir, walang daughter eh. So dapat 1/2 sa kanya.
Ang question natin, yung son's daughter ba considered a descendant?
Considered po siguro, Stad.
Considered po kasi siya po yung sasalo ng ano.
In the absence of a daughter, di ba?
Yes po.
Mm. So yan. So yan ang hati nila. So kung ano man yung estate na naiwan divided by 12, then ita times mo dito sa mga portions nila. Yun ang makukuha nila. Okay? Hopefully klaro yun, no? Ito yung together with another full blood or consanguine sister surviving daughters of the descendant or with the son's daughter. Okay. Sana tayo dun sa kanilang example. Okay, so 3,000. So i-divide nyo sa 12. So magiging
250, sir. Isang
Two.
share.
so 250 bawat share. So yan yun. Okay. Ito naman. The wife dies leaving a germane brother, son's daughter, mother, and husband. And the inheritance is 360,000. Okay, so una, germane brother. So GB. Tapos son's daughter, SD. Mother, M, then husband. Okay? So ang son's daughter ay makakuha ng 1/2. Ang mother ay 1/6 kasi may existing. Then ang husband ay 1/4. Then ang matitira ay residue sa germane brother. So ang makakapag-exclude lang sa germane brother, ma-exclude ba ng son's daughter ang germane brother? So kung yan ang titingnan natin, 12 ulit. No? So ito ay 6, 2, then 3. So ito ay 11. So matitira ay 1. So divide mo yung 360 sa tag 30,000, no? 30,000. So 30 times, so 30,000. Tapos sa 6 naman, 180,000. 60,000, 90,000. Okay. One dies leaving a mother, a son's daughter. So mother, son's daughter. Then 2 germane sisters. Then a consanguine sister. And 2 consanguine brothers. Okay. So anong magiging share nila rito? So ang mother ay, again, 1/6. Yung son's daughter ay 1/2. Then ito ay residuary. Na ito ay excluded. excluded sila, no? Okay, so ito ay magiging 12 ulit. So ito ay 2, sa kanya 6, yung matitira 4. So dahil dalawa sila, tag dalawa isa, no? Take 2 portions sa kanila. Divide by 2. Each German sister shall receive 2 portion. Okay.
Studs, hindi ba siya pwedeng maging divisible by 6?
Actually, divisible by 6. No? Tama. Very good observation. Least, palagi dapat yung pinakamaliit, no? So, 6. Palitan natin ito 6. Ito ay magiging 1. Ito naman ay magiging
3.
3. Tapos ito ay magiging 2. So, tag-isa sa kanila. So, anyway, so 13,800 divided by 6. Tapos, ita-times mo na lang doon sa mga portion nila.
So 4.
Okay. Okay. So, we will continue no later sa next meeting about this no, mga. So, tingnan nyo lang yung mga na-discuss natin, no, kung mayroon kayong pahabol, no, kung may nagkamali tayo ng computation, no, i-correct natin. So, alhamdulillah, no, medyo napahaba ang ating discussion. So, we will continue sa ating discussion. Ngayon puro may mga example na ng cases. No, I am expecting that the next week's reports, no, shall include cases, no, mga examples ng computation. Okay? So yung mga hindi napag-report ngayon, no, particularly yung mga expected na kayo na mag-report next meeting. Then don't forget yung yung review of understanding palagi, no? Kasi marami pa rin hindi nagsasubmit sa ating Google Classroom. Okay, any questions, clarification?
Sir, kung continue po natin to next week, wala na tayong assignment?
May assignment pa rin, I'll upload. Kasi yung mga topics, actually yung exclusion di pa natin discuss eh. Mas lalo tayong magkakaroon ng complete view, no, kapag na-discuss na natin yung exclusions din. So kasama ata sa next topic yung exclusions. Okay? Okay, so kung wala nang tanong, let us meet next meeting, no? Naktafi bihadha al-qadr al-yasir. Shukran jazilan ala husni istimaikum. فإن شاء الله نلتقي في أسبوع القادم. مع السلامة.
Assalamu
إلى اللقاء.
جزاك الله خير شيخ. بارك الله
وأنتم
فيك.
فجزاكم الله خيرا. في أمان الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Barakatuh.